Barry on Football. My name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings.
And I am Ben Dickerson. I'm the co-host of the show. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the PTTFL, the preeminent flag football league in the tri-state area, coming out of Philadelphia.
Coming out of Philadelphia, Ben coaches with the Seminoles, which my son also plays with that team. He's back, so he's talking about practicing the game. So just to let you know, he was out of town. He's back.
You told me. You told me.
Well, this show is all about the game tomorrow, the first of the preseason for the 2019 NFL football season. This game features the Denver Broncos against the Atlanta Falcons. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the Hall of Fame inductees. We're going to talk a little bit about the game. We all know it's a preseason game, right, Benny?
That's correct. Preseason, the very first preseason game.
The very first preseason game. So just to kind of kick it off, excuse me, I went back and I looked at some of last year's game. And I just made a couple notes, some things that, remind people of what they can look forward to seeing in the upcoming game. So number one, the first thing they seem to do is they introduce the new Hall of Fame inductees at the game. And that's always fun to see them come out and, dab everybody up and everything. You get the chance to see them and all of that.
True.
So that was a nice part of the game that I kind of forgot was a part of the game. You also get a chance to see the new rookies because you won't see many of the veterans, all right? We're going to talk a little bit about how the veterans are approaching the preseason now. We got some people that don't expect to play at all. And I don't have a rant, but I do have a question I'd like to pose about that. So we'll go with that. Last year, for example, we got to see Lamar Jackson get some playing time. Your buddy, Bobby Griffin.
Robert Griffin?
Robert Griffin, right? He started the game, but Lamar came in a little bit later. So, and it was really funny because I'm looking at him and he got Bobby Griffin out there and he has him in the pistol running the option in the preseason. And I'm like, don't do that. You'll get him killed. And as usual, he looks up. He can't find a receiver. Now he's running. He did run out of bounds, though.
Well, that's good because, we might get another look at him this preseason. Let's face it. It's the very first preseason game. Happens to be a spotlight game because of the Hall of Fame weekend. But most veterans are not going to play. Most of the lower round rookie picks will probably get a whole lot of playing time. If you can remember a pick that your particular team that you're a fan of may have gotten these preseason games, that's the time to look for these guys because a lot of them won't be around after next week. Yeah.
They'll start moving toward the 52-man roster. Another thing that came up in this game is it's the first time you get a chance to see a game played under the new rules.
Which new rules do we speak of?
Well, last year, it was the kickoff rule. They changed the kickoff formation and all of that, and it was the first time they had a chance to introduce it. And there was also a helmet rule. There was actually a helmet-to-helmet penalty last year in that game, 15-yarder, the whole bit. So this year, I'm trying to think of some of the new rules that we might have to keep an eye on, but I haven't gone back and looked at those rules. So they'll go over those in this first game because they'll have to make sure everybody kind of understands,
You know what? One of the new rules that, and I believe it's been voted in, so we'll probably see it somewhere along the line, is the pass interference rule.
Oh, yeah.
You can now challenge that.
Right. Exactly. So that is a chance. With saying that this first game, they have to make sure that they give you an explanation of what's going on with the refs and the rules and all of that. So if there's anything that you can get out of the first game, first you'll see the Hall of Fame inductees. Second, you will get a chance to see the new rookies. Third, you will get a chance to see some of the new rules as they are enacted and as the refs begin to call and utilize those rules. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But Ben, I do want to take a moment.
Yes.
To recognize that I got a report today. Nick Bonacani passed away at the age of 70.
Yes.
Miami Dolphins legend.
Right. Many times All-Pro, Hall of Famer, played on the team that went completely undefeated, the only perfect team.
17 and
season, Miami Dolphins. Well respected.
Yeah.
And yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that real quick. We mentioned some of the rookies. And so I took a quick look at the draft picks. 2019 draft picks for the Denver Broncos, right? Round 1, pick 20, Noah Fant. Round 2, pick 41, Dalton Risner. Round 2, pick 42, Drew Lock. Should see some of Drew Lock.
I think we'll get a little bit of Drew Lock. He's not going to start the game, though.
Well, what do you mean? You think they'll start with?
They're going to start with the guy who depth chart wise is the number 2 at this moment, and his name is Kevin Hogan. He's been in the league for a couple of years. He played. He actually played in some regular season games back in 2017 for the Cleveland Browns. He is now with the Denver Broncos. He's the backup. I think he played some preseason games last year for the Skins. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be using that, for Washington. So the Broncos got him from Washington. He is now the number 2 quarterback. He's supposed to start this game. But we're going to get plenty of Drew Lock in the second half.
So all the hype about whether Drew Lock could actually contend for the starting position, he's actually the 3rd quarterback.
To be fair, and I was not a big Drew Lock fan when we were back during the draft. But to be fair, training camp did just kind of start. I mean, just because he hasn't done anything special yet or in OTAs doesn't mean he may, he might get in the preseason game and go bananas. Who knows?
Go bananas. He might go bananas. We have Draymond Jones picked in the 3rd round, a D lineman from Ohio State. Justin Hollins in the 5th round, a linebacker from Oregon. And in the 6th round, Juwan Winfrey, wide receiver from Colorado.
Okay. You're going to see all those guys.
So you'll have an opportunity to see all
You'll
those
definitely
guys.
get a chance to see all those guys. I would say if you happen to be a Denver Broncos fan, or you at least like Denver, that guy, the first pick, he's a D end, right?
Let me go back to that information. Noah Fant.
Noah Fant. Oh, no. Noah Fant is the tight end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tight end.
If you're looking for a name of a guy or a name guy from the draft that just passed, watch Noah Fant. He's supposed to be the real deal. He should be vying for a starting spot at tight end.
Yeah, they can use some good tight end help.
Yeah.
Other than running back, that's a quarterback's best.
Well, that's why they took him so high. So
yeah,
they'll be expecting him to be a starter.
Now on the Falcons side, they keep talking about the revamped offensive line for the Falcons.
Okay.
At the first round at pick 14, they picked Chris Lindstrom, guard out of Boston College.
Okay, so your first pick is an offensive lineman, and I think they got a couple in free agency too, so that's been a priority for them.
That's a priority. The second pick, also in round 1 at number 31, Caleb McGarry, offensive tackle out of Washington.
So their first 2 picks are offensive linemen. I think they're serious.
Also, for sure. For sure. Now, went down to the 4th round. Kendall Sheffield, a cornerback out of Ohio State. And then also in the 4th, John Kaminsky, DN out of Charleston. 2 in the 5th round, Kadri Allison and Jordan Miller, a running back and a cornerback there. And lastly, round 6, Marcus Green, a running back. So they took 2 running backs late.
Yeah, and those guys are going to get a lot of time. They'll be shuttling the running backs in and out. They got a bunch of young good ones.
Okay. So the NFL Hall of Fame game scheduled for tomorrow, Denver against the Falcons. Not even want to say who do you think is going to win, because it's not about winning. It's about just getting an opportunity to really see, some of these guys in action. The thing I do always try to remember is that for many of these guys, this is the game that will determine a whole lifestyle for them, a potential new lifestyle. I mean, it's a dogfight.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, to make that squad, man. I mean, what do they got about now? Because I know they have to get down to a 53-man roster. What do you think they're carrying? Close to 90-some people right now, maybe?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah, so then you'll have your practice squad people that will come out of this, and some of the other people. But you won't see hardly any of the starters, which brings up my question. Trying to think of who it was. There's a wide receiver that they're saying, and I think it was from the Falcons. Was it the Falcons starting wide receiver?
Julio Jones?
Julio said he's not playing until the season starts.
Yeah, he's not going to play in any preseason games.
Right. Now, my question with that is this. If the players begin to skip all of the preseason games, the starting players, does that bolster the owner's argument to go to an 18-game season and just only have 2 preseason games, and let's get right into the game? Because if they're not going to play any of the preseason games, it really devalues the preseason that much more. And why not just go ahead and get your 2 games in, and add the 2 games as the owners like it. They're still going to hold everybody to 16 games. It's going to change the structure of the contracts to some degree.
I don't like that.
But, I mean, if they're not going to play it, if the players are going to just skip the entire preseason,
If there's going – first of all, that's never going to happen. Second of all, it won't happen because there won't be enough guys for it to be a difference, for it to be noticeable. But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the stipulation about the rules. So why is it that we have to have an 18-game season if we only have 2 preseason games? Why can't we just have 2 preseason games?
Well, I'm just telling you what the owners have suggested.
No, and I know why they suggested that, because every game means money to them. Every game means money to them. So obviously, they'd let them play 20 games if they thought they could get away with it.
Oh, I'm sure.
They know that they can't. So here's the other thing. Let's say within the next year or 2, it does go to 18 games. They also threw in that stipulation that each individual player can only play 16 weeks. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
How you going to do that?
What do you mean, how you going to do it?
How are you going to do that?
You're going to have to play somebody else.
You have your starting offense, and you have your starting defense.
You're going to have starting A and starting B.
Are you serious? Suppose you need that last game to make the playoffs.
Adds to the drama, doesn't it?
No, adds to the drama. That's dumb. That's idiotic. All them owners that voted for that will all be stringing themselves up if they need that game for the playoffs and they can't play starters because they already played 16 games. They'll be like, no, what have we done? Come on, man. No way that's going to happen. Mm-mm. Nope.
Well, I mean, you take a team like Baltimore.
No, it has to work for everybody, bro. It has to work for all 32.
Yeah, well, again, by the time, first of all, it wouldn't be implemented for a couple of years, right?
I don't
So,
care if they implement it when George Jetson gets born. Not going to happen.
so the approach to drafting and to building your team is going to have to change a little bit. You're going to have a second string quarterback, for example, that you actually have some faith in. So
It goes way deeper than that. It goes way, way deeper than that. You see how these teams freak out when their starting left tackle gets hurt? They changed the whole line. They took the right guard and put him at left tackle, and then the left guard becomes the center, and the center, come on, man. That drives the team nuts.
Guys that can play two different positions, they can storm.
That's not going to happen.
They're going to have to start looking at it.
Oh, my goodness. I tell you what,
mm-hmm.
if the NFLPA lets the owners get away with this, I think it's a shame. And they will only be saving them from themselves by saying don't do it. It sounds all good now when the money's rolling in every week from the networks. But when it gets down to the end of the season and your team needs a game, or who knows, you might be going for a perfect season. You're just going to say, that's okay. We don't really want a perfect season.
So the Dolphins will be like, Fitz, have a seat. Come on, Josh, here's your chance, buddy. You've been wanting, you want to start quarterback. They got
that doesn't, no. That's like playing another preseason game, man.
Start quarterbacks.
Come on, stop. Number one, you can't give your backup quarterback that many snaps during the season because all the snaps go to the starting quarterback.
No, they wasn't going to get any snaps in the preseason anyway.
They will in game 17.
Guys that
teams' whole seasons could be banking on this game. And you may have to play offense and defense both 10, 15 different players. You're looking at that like that's good.
You change the contract structure, all of these massive
contracts. Oh, my God. All right. So what else we got there?
You have to make sure that you can divvy that money out.
So what's the next subject, man?
I like it.
The day they adopt this rule,
especially if the main thing, like I said, the only reason I even brought it up is because if the starting players are not even going to play any of the preseason, if that's going to become a trend,
but it's not.
I see that as a problem.
That's not going to be a trend.
Okay, all right. The other thing that we did talk about was the Hall of Fame inductees. So I'd like to just take a few minutes and share some information about those guys because this is their time, and so let's try that out. So let's see here, Hall of Fame inductees. All right, Gil Brandt.
Yes, Gil Brandt.
20 winning seasons, 5 Super Bowl appearances.
That's pretty good. 20 winning seasons out of 29. Can't say too much about that. He has worked for the Dallas Cowboys for his entire career. I think he went under the title of Vice President of Player Personnel, but I would venture to guess that his role with the Cowboys was much bigger than just that. He was in the draft room from day one, helped out Landry, did his thing for the other coaches that the Cowboys have had, and there's only been a few. Jerry Jones, I'm sure, leaned on him quite a bit, but he got a lot older and he had to resign. But you really can't talk about the Dallas Cowboys in depth, things other than just the games, without mentioning Gil Brandt.
Absolutely. All right, what do we have next here? Rest in peace, Pat Bowlen, Owner, 21 winning seasons, 13 division titles, 9 conference championships, 7 Super Bowl appearances. What, 2 Super Bowls?
2 Super Bowl wins out of 7 appearances. Denver Broncos. Great owner. Everything I ever heard about him was always nice. He was loved by the other owners. His players all loved him. You know, he's famous for the "This One's for John"
Right.
speech at the end of the Super Bowl that they won.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, good man.
Good man. Good man. Okay. All right. Who's up next? Mawai. Kevin Mawai. 16 seasons, 241 games, 8 Pro Bowls, the All-Decade team in 2005.
Oh, he made the All-Decade team?
Yeah.
Well, he was good. I mean, if you're a real football fan, if you're not a real football fan, it's hard to focus on the center when you're watching games. This guy was one of the great centers in the history of the NFL. Played for the Seahawks. He started with the Seahawks. Played for the Jets, which is probably where most people remember him. And I think he finished his career with the Titans, Tennessee Titans. A great center, real devout Christian. He was known for that. He made that very public. And just a great all-around player as far as I'm concerned. You know, we don't always talk about linemen that much. We usually stick to the skill position players. But he held his own and was revered by his peers.
Yeah, it's a name that, you know, like I said, even if you're not a big football fan, you might recognize. Because linemen, you know, they don't get the recognition, they don't get the acknowledgement. So congratulations to him on that. All right. How you like your boy Ed Reed?
I love Ed Reed, one of the great safeties of all time. He played 12 seasons. I could have swore he played more seasons than that. I thought he was up around 15. Defensive Player of the Year, 2000s NFL All-Decade Team. We got another All-Decade team here. In the heyday of the Baltimore Ravens, besides Ray Lewis, this is the guy you looked at. This is the guy you look for to make the big plays, one of the big-time leaders on that defense. Ed Reed, man. And it's funny, I thought he had always played, or he played his entire career with the Ravens. And I guess when you talk about actually playing, that is true. But he did suit up for the Texans and the Jets, I think, in the last year. He was kind of jumping around trying to get a paycheck, last couple paychecks or something, and then he decided to retire. So, yeah, he'll always be a Raven, you know.
2 things I'll mention about Ed Reed. Number 1, if he picks you off to the house.
I knew he was going to say that. And it reminds me of a saying a buddy of mine I used to play with used to say. He said, lots of guys can get interceptions, but only the great ones take it home. That was Ed Reed. Once you got the ball, you were in trouble. You were in trouble.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. And the other thing I want to mention is that he had an absolutely awesome tackle in the NFL 100 commercial.
Oh, the commercial. Yeah, yeah. Who did he wipe? He wiped somebody. Who did he wipe out?
Who did he wipe? It wasn't Saquon. Who was running? Oh, Barry. Wasn't it Barry?
I think he did tackle Barry.
I think it was Barry.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm going to have to look that up on YouTube again.
Duck down behind the cape.
Like real slick, like, yeah.
Real slick. Wow.
That's Ed Reed, though, man. If you ever see him on, he guest hosts on Inside the NFL from time to time.
Okay.
And when he comes in, he's always looking like a pimp. You know, he's got his jacket over his T-shirt. He's got his hat cocked to the side. Oh, I love that guy, man.
I'm telling you, it's so much fun. I mean, first of all, that defense was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, please.
You know,
We could have that. Somebody suggested to me that we have a debate show and just debate like who was the best corner ever, who was this, who was that. Okay, so tuck that into your hat. But if there was ever a debate about best safeties, Ed Reed's name is always going to be in the top 3 as far as I'm concerned. You might come up with some other guys, but yeah.
Well, talking about coming up with some other guys, here's a name from the past. Johnny Robinson. There's your safety right there.
Yeah.
12 seasons, 164 games, 7 Pro Bowls, 57 career INTs.
Yeah, nice. Now, I'm going to date myself. I remember the old AFL. And Johnny Robinson played for the Dallas Texans of the AFL before they merged with the NFL. Once they merged with the NFL, they became the Kansas City Chiefs. Or they may have even become the Chiefs before the merger. But either way, you know what I mean? Okay. That kind of is how like the Minneapolis Lakers became the LA Lakers. It's one of those kind of things.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I kind of actually remember watching Johnny Robinson play.
I don't really remember him, so I have to defer to you on that. But definitely a safety that, you know, is in the history books. It looked like a black and white picture. So what year are we talking about? Do you know?
Oh, we're talking about the 60s, right?
60s?
I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on.
60s and 70s.
Okay. Tony Gonzalez, tight end.
Yeah.
17 seasons, 270 games, another all-decade team. 14 out of 17 seasons, he made the Pro Bowl.
Wow, he's also on the all-decade team. I'm going to have to look up this all-decade team, man.
Tell me.
Sounds like it's one heck of a team there.
I know.
But, yeah, Tony Gonzalez. Some people may not remember he started his career with the Kansas City Chiefs and established himself as a great player with them even before he went to the Atlanta Falcons. And once he got to the Atlanta Falcons, it was just, you know, he just took it on from there. So, Tony Gonzalez is one of those guys you don't ever remember, like, not being that good. Like, it wasn't like he came into the league in the first 3 years, he was okay, and then he blew up.
Right.
And at the end, it wasn't like, oh, man, Gonzalez needs to retire. Nobody said that. He was balling. He was still balling. He just was like, okay, I'm ready to hang it up.
I'm done.
So, that's a great career.
It's funny because a lot of times these guys, like, they say, well, I thought about it. Did I really want to go through another year of camp and all of that kind of stuff? And then
camp is what kills them first. They love the game. They love their teammates. They love the city they play in. That camaraderie and the whole lot. That's what football players love. Training camp? Nah. There's a lot of guys who wouldn't have retired when they did if the owner and the GM said, no training camp. You only had to come and show up for game 1 in shape. They would do it. They would do it.
Sounds like we're getting back to that original conversation we had a little earlier in the show, but I'm going to leave that alone for right now.
Yeah, you should, because it doesn't mean you should play more games. Out of here.
We're cutting out, but the whole concept of cutting out that preseason. I mean, everybody can follow
right.
Julio. Like, well, if Julio ain't showing up.
Remember how I started the statement, if they could, but they can't. No owner's going to allow that. In fact, in Julio's case, they probably went to him and said, look, we're really going to sit you. We might play you maybe a quarter in the 3rd preseason game. He's like, do I have to? And they're like, nah, never mind. That's okay. I bet you that's how it went.
I wonder if he ever skipped out on the preseason on the camp.
Ty Law? No way.
He was probably hurting people on his own squad in the preseason.
He was quite a player. 53 career interceptions. That's a little surprising. I don't remember him so much as a ball hawk. I remember him more as a hitter.
Well, yeah, he had that, but no, he was a ball hawk for sure.
Now, here's something that I didn't realize, and it's a shame because I love football and I try to stay up on everything. I'm a bit ashamed of myself that I only remember Ty Law when he played for the Patriots and the Jets. He also suited up for the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Cleveland Browns late in his career.
Wow.
I do not remember that very well.
No, me neither.
I mean, if somebody flashed up a game and I saw him, I'd probably be like, oh, yeah. But I can't, his heyday was the Patriots and the Jets.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. All right, what do we have here next? Let's take a quick look. All right, we're getting ready to close this one out, Benny, with the last.
Got somebody.
Yeah, we got one guy here. And as a matter of fact, he might show up and be able to dab up all of his teammates.
Ha 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 ha. Champ Bailey. Oh, look at the tackles on this guy. 908 tackles for a career. Also on the all-decade team. Hey. All right. He played 15 seasons and played in 12 Pro Bowls. That's pretty good. That's damn good. Started his career with Washington, played most of his career in Denver, and closed it out with the New Orleans Saints. Those were maybe a little lackluster years, but he was there and he was balling nonetheless. Now, I will give you a brownie point if you could tell me Champ Bailey's brother's name. I think his brother played in the NFL for a year or two. Played with him at Georgia in college. It was Champ Bailey and
Chip.
I knew you'd come up with either Chip or Chump or Charlie or something. I knew it. No, his name was Boss.
Boss Bailey.
Boss Bailey, yes.
Serious.
Boss Bailey.
Oh.
That was fun.
Boss Bailey. Well, now I'll remember that for sure.
Right.
How could I possibly forget that? So all of these guys, you'll have an opportunity. They'll all show up at the Hall of Fame game. They'll get an introduction, walk out on the field, and get some kudos from the crowd. I think that's an awesome thing. All right, Benny. This is where we're about to move to the final last couple of parts of the show where we actually want to share with people our social media. So let's start. As I said in the beginning of the show, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I do produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. You can find the Net Point Power Rankings on Facebook at Sterling NPPR. Not a lot of activity on the page because we are not in the season, and I track the teams and rate the teams, or I guess rank the teams by net points. Again, that's points for minus points against. And now that when that those net points will take us directly to the playoffs and generally right to the Super Bowl in terms of the teams with the best net point records. Not always the top two. We actually, when we look back, we saw a number of teams that came in about 7 or 8 that actually won the Super Bowl. But it's one of the few, if not the only, purely quantitative ranking system. No opinion involved with that. So that's the Sterling Net Power Rankings.
Yeah, opinions, that's my department.
Yeah. So true. Let's see here. And we have next the Ben and Barry on Football Facebook page at BNBOF. Come visit us, take a look. There he is again, looking back and forth. Is that a 6-finger or is that a bottle of beer?
No, that was a bottle of beer. After game festivities.
After game festivities.
Post game festivities.
You can tell we were on on somewhat of a vacation. I was sitting with a number of your players on the rooftop. We had the outdoor fire going there.
Oh, yeah. So that place was pretty nice, huh?
Oh, yeah. It was very nice. It was very nice. I had to admit. It was a nice time. That I don't normally hang out like that, but I was hanging out with the young folks. That was Christopher's birthday. Yours. What position is he playing for you now? Anyway, is he receiver or is he playing?
He's receiver.
Receiver. Okay, receiver for the PTTFL Seminoles. Next, I want to mention that we are on Twitter, and you can find us there. And one of the things we always like to talk about is our list of friends or people that we follow. If you really, the heck is Chip doing?
Picture of Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly? Come on, man.
Hey, he's still in football. He's still in football. Russell Wilson. It's just so many. This is going to be an interesting combo. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. You're talking speed on both sides of the field.
That's true.
You're talking speed on both sides of the field. That does not bode well for my 49ers. We shall see. We have our own set of monsters that the league going to have to deal with. We even have an Instagram page, BNBOF on Instagram. You can find us there, sharing some information as we get better and better about utilizing and getting information out on Instagram. If you go to our website, www.benandbarry.onfootball.com, it will take you directly to our YouTube page. I got the hiccups now in the middle of all of this. Jamie, Christmas. Let me just grab some water here and just keep going on. All right. Oh, Ben, what do you think of the contract today? The announcement.
Oh, Mike Thomas.
Mike Thomas, yeah.
It's nice. 61 of it is guaranteed, and they gave him a $20 million signing bonus. Like, thank you for taking our $100 million. Here, take 20 more.
The interesting thing is that the players seem to want to now renegotiate their contracts before they end, number one.
Right.
So if he's got a 5-year contract, can you see him back at the table in year 4?
Yes.
Even though he got all that upfront money.
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Especially, and one of the commentators, I think your buddy, Mr. Hurd, Colin Hurd, mentioned it. A whole new source of revenue is coming to the NFL. You got the gambling money. You got new contracts, expansion into Europe and foreign markets, and that's going to happen probably in about 2 or 3 years. So a number of these contracts that guys are getting paid on today, the new money's going to come in, and they're going to start questioning whether or not that contract that they now have is viable wise on their part, how do we get in on this new money? So I don't know if it's going to change the cap or anything like that, but the revenue streams are expected to change and increase, and some of these contracts that might be looking great right now might not look so good when the new revenues come in.
I agree.
Just wanted to mention that real quick. All right, here, where are we here? So that was Ben and Barry on football there. So that's pretty much all of our social media. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, I have a rant, actually. I don't think anybody's going to really want to hear. Well, you might. I'm sure. Excuse me. If you've been on social media, especially Twitter, or you listen to any local sports radio, and it's been on television too, but not quite as much, except for that idiot Jason Whitlock on his show. There seems to be a whole hubbub about LeBron James going to his son's basketball games.
Are you really going to go there? Really?
I'm really going to go there. You know why?
Why?
Because Jason Whitlock once again proves to me, okay, that he is. Do people still say Uncle Tom? I'm sick of this guy, man. I'm sick of this dude. If you watch his show, he always has the contrary opinion and holds on to it to the death. You can't tell me he doesn't do it on purpose. But I think he really feels that way, so that makes it easy for him. Okay? He's talking about how shameful and what an awful thing it is for LeBron to get in the layup line and dunk a couple of times before his son's game. What's the matter with that? He's not disrupting the game. It's a layup line. He goes to all the games, almost all of them, especially now in the off season. Okay? Just like all the other dads and moms do. It's just none of the other dads and moms can dunk. He out there having fun with the kids. You think he doesn't know these kids? He knows these kids. These are his son's teammates. He knows them. I'm sure he knows them well. He's probably purchased some of the buses for them to travel on. So to get in their layup line means nothing to them. Why would it bother him and these other folks out here? And his son throws up a sweet alley-oop during the game, and one of his teammates slams it home, and LeBron loses his mind and runs out on the court. Like it was down the other end. So, and he was sitting at the opposite basket. So it's not like he ran out on the court in the middle of the players. Okay? And when he ran out, one of his shoes came off. I don't know if he had them untied, and he looked real embarrassed. He runs out and grabs it and goes back. And then the kids come down to that end of the court, and it must be a timeout called or something. And he starts, high-fiving everybody, and they jumping in the air, and it looked like they were having fun. Okay? But people like Jason Whitlock and some of these other numbskulls out there, instead of talking about Tyreek Hill, who punches his 3-year-old in the chest and allegedly broke his arm, a 3-year-old, dude, a 3-year-old. Oh, we were boxing. No, you don't box with a 3-year-old. Instead of talking about that and how terrible that is, here we got a real father trying to be the best father he can be for his son within his means, which are great compared to the rest of us, but so what? Being present as much as he can in his son's life, and you want to down him? I think that's despicable, man. He didn't have a dad. His dad wasn't around, so he's making sure he's around for his son. I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
I actually watched his show where he took some of the blowback, and he got a lot of it.
He got it from the other panelists. Everybody else who was on the panel gave it to him.
Yeah. I mean, he stood alone and on that, and I get his point that he attempted to make was it seemed as if LeBron was
showing off, making it about him.
Making it about him instead of, because a lot of parents just sit in the background. They don't do all of that. Even if they're professionals, it's not like Curry's dad is out there shooting threes with him. I don't think he did that with Curry when Curry was in high school. He might have. I don't know. But that was his point. And I'm not trying to defend his point. I'm just saying what I thought, what he seemed to say his point was that, because he said, like, when he was in high school and when LeBron was in high school and his mom started doing remember how Iverson's mom would always, go up signs and LeBron has said to his mom, basically chill He goes,
Yeah.
you know. And so Whitlock was saying, take your own advice, chill, go sit down. Let the kids have their time. Don't take away the shine from the kids. Let it be about the kids. That was what his point, you know. So I don't think,
Okay.
I don't think he was really being overly negative, but it did come off that way. And his point was that it seems as if there's a lot of people, like there's a whole LeBron protective group who you can't say anything about.
Oh, this guy with his conspiracy theories, man. Gotta stop. It's gotta stop. Listen, there are AAU dads out there that run out on the court and cuss out refs. Okay?
That's true.
I know it. I know it. Okay?
I never did that. I never
No,
did.
you never did that. Well, and that's fine. My thing is, he stuck to his guns like LeBron should be, suspended for half the season for doing this. He was really like upset, like this guy, he only cares about himself. He's taking away from the kids. And when presented with the argument that he's just being an exuberant father, he was like, nah, that ain't it. He's this, he's that. That's Whitlock's problem. I can understand where he came up with the whole, let it just be the kids, try to hold yourself back. But when I used to go to my little brother's games, I was screaming and yelling and jumping up and down, doing all kind of stuff. You can't help it, I think he took it too far.
One other point, and I'm being the
devil's advocate.
I think one other point that he was making was that with LeBron maybe not having a father, he was trying to compensate, and maybe he overcompensated a little bit.
And I don't agree with that either. I think he's doing his thing. I think that's just who he is. Around his kids, that's just who he is. I don't think he's like, you know what, I should get in the layup line. This will be on Instagram.
I don't think that he was so much saying that as if, again, if sometimes with kids, like one parent will try to overcompensate. Let's say you have a single mom, the dad's not around, so the kid's birthday comes up, and rather than just giving them a regular birthday party, they want to go all out because they want to make up for the lack of a father, and they want to show the kid and all of that. I mean, I'm not, again.
There's something wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's something wrong with it. I'm just saying that that's a natural tendency
okay.
of a parent maybe to try to make up a little bit. So he
keyword being natural.
Huh?
Keyword being natural. You said that's a natural tendency.
Yeah, it is.
I said the key word is natural. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And but sometimes you have to say to the parent, okay, you might be going a little overboard here.
Okay, it's not like he does it every game. If he did it every game, they would have footage of it. Just like they have footage of that. And if he did it every game, I'd be like, dude, you're getting on my nerves now. This particular game, he did that. He doesn't do it all the time.
I don't know. Okay.
He does it. Believe me.
I think so. I'm with you.
Believe me. LeBron is one of the few guys that they ain't got nothing on. And if they do, then whoever's got it is really holding it for some key moment. Okay? So he's under the big microscope.
Well, LeBron is a hero in my book in so many areas in terms of this, to the community.
Absolutely.
As a business person supporting his quote squad or crew, whatever you want to call them. They all became entrepreneurs. They're all businessmen of the highest level, and so he's always done those types of things. And it's so Whitlock, he stepped out on a real plank there when he starts messing around with LeBron, and I can understand how most people responded to that very negatively. And like you said, his own panelists weren't with him on that. But,
and he doesn't have any children.
Yeah, right.
You know how we get when somebody talk about our kids, right? You ain't even got no kids. How you? you know.
Well,
on, man.
All right. So All right, is that it? You feel better
Yeah,
now?
that's, I feel much better.
Okay, great.
No,
Uh-oh.
football, professional football is going to be on tomorrow night. Professional football might not be pretty, but it's professional football. The guys are getting paid and they're doing their best. So I'm rooting for a good game. Hopefully it'll hold my interest.
You know, in watching, again, I reviewed last year's game, and it's kind of like with the All-Star game. Like everybody's out there that, you know, they're doing their thing, but as it gets toward the end of the game and you look up and
Right. It starts getting
you go,
serious.
wait a minute.
Right.
Nobody wants to take that L. All of a sudden, the coaches start coaching, the players start playing, you know, and even though they don't have their number ones out there, they don't want to lose that game, you know.
Right.
You know, you guys better get out there and, you know, let's get this done. So the pressure kicks in, and you know that last 4 minutes of any game
funny.
is the best.
That's funny because what's number one on the players' agenda is making the team. So it's like, I got to look good. I got to make every block. I got to make every tackle. I can't miss a tackle. I can't drop a pass. I can't run a bad route. Oh, my God. I can't go through the wrong hole and not gain any yardage. And then, yeah, you're right. Like, end of the third quarter, start getting in the fourth quarter. They're like, all right, who we got left? All right, let's see if we can win this game. So yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. It's going to be pretty wild.
All right. That's all for me. You got anything else?
I got nothing but go Noles.
Peace out.